And we're live. Hello there, folks. Thanks very much for joining us. We're just popping on here at 9 o'clock for our Science Fiction Friday. And as much as we're just carrying on from last night with our June book club, which we'll be back with this Sunday at 9 o'clock, we thought we'd just pop on and do something a wee bit brief tonight because my throat's getting a bit of a battering actually from doing all this book club stuff. And we thought we'd say a few happy birthdays actually, but particularly we were talking about it's over the last week or so, it's been the birthday of 2000 AD, which is a real bastion of the British comic industry, I suppose. And it was happy birthday to 2000 AD. We've got a few bits and pieces around here. But I've been reading 2000 AD since I was 4 years of age. And it's a very interesting thing in itself. It's had real longevity. And I suppose the best thing about 2000 AD is it's really associated with quality, isn't it? It's over the last 45 years, it has produced so many good stories, so many good characters, so many well-realized worlds, and has been quite a snappy little political commentator at the same time, I think. Particularly with Judge Dredd using, I suppose, the idea of the American megacities. Actually being a comment on British society pretty much, but we haven't seen too much brought to the screen, oddly enough, from 2000 AD. And I suppose the main thing that we have seen has been really the two Dredd films, one of which, the Sylvester Stallone one, was truly awful, and the recent one with Carl Urban, I think, was exceptionally good, I have to say. So just as of note, we thought we'd have a wee bit of a happy birthday to 2000 AD and maybe have a wee bit of a natter about a few bits and pieces from that tonight. And also we kind of noted, I suppose it's the anniversary of the birthday of Anthony Burgess as well, who's the author of A Clockwork Orange. So there you go. And of course tonight, the reason why we're bringing up birthdays, it's my own as well. So cheers to you all out there who are watching. And thanks very much for joining us. Also, the reason why I will not be staying on too much tonight. So if there's anybody out there, give us a wee shout and a wee hello from YouTube land. And we'll get cracking a wee bit. But yeah, as I said, it's been a bit of a day, hasn't it, I suppose? We've been waking up to Russia invading the Ukraine and everything that comes with that. But a rather sad state of affairs, I suppose. 2000 AD, just to sort of give you a wee bit of a hint about it, I suppose, has been around. It used to exist in a different form, I suppose. Let me see. And actually, the comic that Margaret Thatcher got shut down, I believe. We can just go into it with Action Comics. There we go. Action was a controversial weekly British children's anthology comics published by IPC magazines starting on the 14th of February 1976 and up until November 1977. And this comic was pretty much the direct predecessor to 2000 AD. Essentially what happened with it was there was a bit of a bother with some of the stories, and I think in particular it was a story involving youth football violence, if you like. And it created one of these, moral outrage things from the government. And pretty much, I think, it ended up that Action Comic got shut down. And I suppose the really interesting thing about it is that the comic book returned staff, etc. and all in a new form. And that form happened to be 2000 AD. And if we have characters like Judge Dredd previously in Action, I think he was a kind of Dirty Harry-based cop, I think, called Dredger. And we go from Dredger to Dredd, if you see what I mean. Basically, what they did was everything that this moral outrage was, in a sense, against, they set it in the future. And it very interestingly, as much as these comics were for kids, by taking all of these stories and setting them in the future or giving them a science fiction setting, excuse me, it basically made the comic untouchable in terms of its content. and simply put, they can present all sorts of stories, and this is one of the things that science fiction is very good at, and essentially kind of makes it bulletproof in some ways. But it's all about what if speculation, if you like. It's not it's ultimate defense, I suppose, in that sense, is that you can go, it's not real, is it? It's science fiction. And so essentially we get the same characters being represented in 2000 AD, repackaged and represented as science fiction characters. And 2000 AD sort of born in 1977, isn't it? I think the first issue went out around the 18th of February. So I think it'll be this week. And for me as a kid, it was very affordable. It was, I think, about 8 pence. And yeah, it was just an absolute joy to read. I've got, at the minute, they've brought out an anniversary, for the 45th anniversary, an encyclopedia of 2000 AD. I don't have such a thing, but I do have one of these I picked up a long time ago, which is the best of 2000 AD. And it has a range of these kind of stories, if you like. And I suppose whenever we go from the football hooligan type stories, if we think of those kind of things, we ended up getting, there we go, there's Giant, one of the Harlem heroes here. This is Aeroball, isn't it? We have a few of these kind of future sports stories going back quite a bit, actually. And we had things like the Mean Team and the Harlem Heroes. And I suppose these are the things that kind of evolved, there we go, out of these football hooligan stories, if you like. And of course, Judge Dredd kind of came out of Dredger. And we had various, stuff that's kind of popular at the time, kind of Bionic Man type story, I suppose, Mach 1. And a few firm favorites. So, yeah, the interesting thing about 2000 AD, I suppose, there we go. There's our very first issue. That's it. And I remember getting my free space spinner. I quite like things like that. 8p Earth money. And it's the 26th of February, 1977. There you go. I was wrong. I was thinking it was the 18th. So that's number one. So it's, as of basically midnight tonight, 2000 AD will be 45, won't it? And very much my kind of thing at that age. What a great thing to be able to get every week. And especially when we have, for myself personally, very hard to get a hold of American comics. Things like Superman, Spider-Man, Batman, these kind of things were not easy to get over here. An absolute joy to behold. So many good stories over the years, and still going strong, I believe. I haven't read it in a wee while. I stopped buying it a wee while back. And the only thing I suppose there's a couple of films that have been kind of identified as sort of based on 2000 AD stories. But I suppose the only real one that has translated onto the screen has been Dredd. I said with two versions, one not so good and the other one quite good. So the other one very good, something that amazes me about 2000 AD, I'm just going to come out and say it, is that in this day and age, when these media companies are buying up so many properties, things like Lord of the Rings, Dune, Star Wars, all of this thing, going whole hog on trying to develop them for TV and just being unoriginal in other people's sort of playgrounds. 2000 AD is a wealth of material that could be translated to the big screen, the small screen, for 45 years worth of it. I'm absolutely gobsmacked that we haven't seen more stuff from 2000 AD on the screen, There's Colleges and Cannibals there. Good evening, Colleges and Cannibals. How you doing? Thanks for joining us. We're just popping on for a wee bit tonight, just to sort of have a bit of a natter. If you're just joining us, we thought we'd do something about birthdays, as it's my own today, and we were just having a wee bit of a chat about 2000 AD, and its 45th birthday will be tomorrow, 26th of February, 1977. I suppose which ages me. So there we go. And I suppose the other person maybe have a wee natter about tonight is Anthony Burgess, because it would be his birthday today, wouldn't it, as well? But there we go. Quite well. I hope you and yours are too. Thank you. Yeah, happy birthday, youngster. Thanks very much, sir. It's all low key tonight. I've just poured myself a beer and just had a really nice, quiet day today. And I just thought, yeah, this is a good use of my time popping on here. So we'll have a bit of a natter for an hour or so, you know. Those stories are good, thus difficult to adapt. Yeah, I don't know. I think if you had the right people, though, and I suppose that this is the thing. I think colleges that is kind of interesting is that the talent that comes out of this comic. We've seen these people go to work in the film industry very successfully. You know, there is a cluster of 2080 people out there involved in films, and I suppose in terms of, you know, I think more TV actually, to be honest with you, because of the serial nature of a lot of the stories. But I'll tell you, if there was a Robo Hunter TV show, I'd watch it. I'd be, you'd have to pay me not to watch it, you know, and you'd have to pay me quite a lot of money. If you know, something like the Mean Team. I'm just having a wee look at this. Great, it's kind of the thing I have here is like the best of 2080. If there was, I don't know, ABC Warriors, Bad Company, Ballad of Halo Jones would make something very exceptional, I think. DR and Quench, Flesh kind of is Jurassic Park, isn't it, in a way? The Harlem Heroes, we've got Judge Dredd, Nemesis the Warlock, I think would be amazing. Rogue Trooper, you know, Schlonny, Strontium Dog, you know, just a few there. I think they would be brilliant, you know. Need TV adaptations rather than film. Yes, yeah. I mean, it's a serial thing, isn't it? And why try to cram all of this stuff, you know, into a movie? And I think if you think about the recent Dredd film with Carl Urban, it really just takes a sort of part of you know, a moment in a snapshot in the day of the life of Dredd, if you like. It's let's put a rookie through their paces. But the other Dredd film was Stallone. I think, didn't they put every single chief judge from all over the years, if you like, except maybe Cal, all in the same room at once and shot them? You know, which series would you like to adapt yourself out of the 2000 AD? Huh. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure other people would do stuff on it, but if I had to pick one, I don't know. I would want to do something fun, I think. Oh, here, I'll go with the Ballad of Halo Jones. I'd love to see that on the screen. I really would. I think it's a property that would do exceptionally well on many levels. I think, you know, it would appeal to a very broad audience. But I'd love to do DR and Quench, to be honest. I think Slonny would make a good kind of show, especially in the light of how we can do things like Game of Thrones. And it's heavily based on a number of Irish myths, but I think Schloney's very, very fun. I think, you know, there's Babs said, evening y'all, evening Babs. Fun, Halo Jones, absolutely. I think, yeah. Could be fun. I think it has its moments. It's a grim. It can be pretty grim, can't it? But it depends on how dark your sense of humor is. But isn't it? I don't know if you remember that there's a character that nobody ever notices. In Halo Jones, if you remember that, that's pretty bizarro, I think, you know. There you go. But yeah, I don't know. I think an animated DR and Quench would be good. But you know something? Something I quite enjoy that's a bit quirky, and I haven't watched them all yet, is Space Dandy. I don't know if you've seen this anime show, and it is bizarre, and it's really good. And I think if you could have a kind of an animation in that sense, it reminds me a bit of Robo Hunter, I think. And you know, it's one of those things where I'd probably go, you could make them all into TV shows, you know. But yeah, yes, the repeat transitioner who became a cipher. Hey Doc, you were asking about comedies the other day. I saw Cinema Snob review a Batman parody. Just thought I'd mention it. Batman parody. Ooh, what's it called? Do you know? Cinema Snob. Is that a YouTube channel? I'm not. I've got a few subscriptions myself, but I'm not altogether au fait with YouTube. So it's always nice to try and find kind of interesting channels. Excuse me. See. What was I watching the other night? I decided to go for an old science fiction, maybe straight to video type film, and I went for Split Second with Rutger Hauer. and watched it and thought it was really bad and really enjoyable at the same time. I have to say, I really loved it. I thought it was awful, um, in many ways, but I still enjoyed it. I think, so I don't know if I could recommend it to anybody, but there is something that I watched a while back, Babs, which was I think I have it on DVD downstairs. It's called Return to the Bat Cave, I think. Um, I don't know. It's maybe a wee bit older now. I wonder what year it came out. If that's what it is. And it's kind of a bit weird. There we go. Misadventures of Adam and Bert is a 2003 American made-for-television biographical action comedy film. Stars Adam West and Burt Ward as themselves, with Jack Brewer and Jason Marsden portraying the young Batman and Robin in flashbacks. And I don't know if you've seen that, but I thought it was quite good. It's kind of a little sort of biopic thing, but it's a bit kooky, I have to say. And then I think they all kind of, it's all to do with and there's a kind of subplot as to I think they're meant to be doing I think a charity thing with the original Batmobile, and somebody steals it, so they set off one last time, old chum, to in real life to find out what's happened and all that. It's quite fun. I thought it was quite good. Cinema Snob does movie reviews. Yeah, I'll check that one out. Yeah, I quite like a lot of movie review. Well, I like movie reviews. I suppose we used to have Film 2000, Film 2001, this kind of thing on in Britain for a long time with Barry Norman. Excuse me, who was a rather good film critic. Cinema Snob. I'll scribble that one down. Thank you. I watched The Critical Drinker. I think his videos are quite good. And there's a couple of others that are on YouTube, I suppose. What would they be? Dark Corners Reviews is quite good. That I would watch. Let me see. I don't really have too many. Let me see. Is there anybody else there? Minty Comedic Arts. I would watch him now and then. And Rocket Man is a Russian one I'd watch. Let me see. Anyone else really? Cult Cinema Classics. That's a kind of, they just sort of run films on YouTube, don't they? Old cult movies, They're pretty good. YouTube channel, can't remember title of movie. Batman parody. Yeah. Give me a minute, I'll look it up. No worries, Babs. Thank you. I wonder, is that it? Return to the Bat Cave. I liked it. I thought it was quite good. Oh, I actually bought it. There you go. I'm not that into Batman and things like that, But yeah, I think what you're saying. Colleges. What were we saying? Robo Hunter. I think if you think about Robo Hunter, there's Joe Kidd, the baby. That cutie. Hoagie's not there. The whole Robo Hunter thing, I think, would be hilarious. I think you should make it into a sitcom or something. I don't know. I'd like to see more sort of original entertainment on the TV and in the cinema, and reboots and remakes and stuff. As I said, I find it hard to believe that there's 45 years worth of really good stuff here. And a lot of it hasn't dated either. I just why is none of this on the TV? Really, it's a mystery to me. It is a big, I'd love to see things like Strontium Dog. Judge Dredd, a TV series. I mean, you could go on. Put it this way. I mean, they've been writing this stuff for 45 years, and it's consistently good. So why on earth would you? Do you know what I mean? It's there, ready to be made, and I just don't get it. Can't have babies smoking cigars even for laughs now. Oh no, that's why you should make it. Joke. He's not a baby. He's a grown man who's been de-aged, I suppose, into a baby, but he has a very foul mouth. That baby's a grown man. Yeah, Joe Kidd. Great characters. You know what I mean? And the other thing about it, I suppose, that never failed to translate is that there's a level of violence, and we were talking about A History of Violence being written by John Wagner. There's a level of violence in 2000 AD that doesn't glorify violence, but that makes it really grimly humorous, if you know, and very, very darkly funny. But yeah, I was just having a wee think of these. They used to do the old Titan books. This is one of the old Titan books, which are really nice. They're not the sort of modern graphic novel format, if you like, but I'd say these are just lovely, and they're in pretty good nick over the years. But there's a lot of Judge Dredd particular stories out there that I think would be brilliant. There's just so much to choose from, you know. The thing is, I suppose, about 2000 AD, the interesting thing is that they used to always argue, what are we going to call 2000 AD when it gets to the year 2000? I was very pleased that they stuck with the name. But it has fantasy, it has horror, it was consistently science fiction. It has the weird, you know, and it's a commentary on society, and it has some absolutely. I'm going to show you one. I think that it has a lot of good connections to science fiction literature. This is one of my favorite 2000 AD stories. Let me just get you the writing credit on it for who's. Let's see the artist, and I think that's David Jackson. Where is this? This is a pretty old one, so I'm not actually seeing a title card for it. Let's see. Benny's Tale, it's called. I see David Jackson. Oh no, hang on. I see David Jackson written on it, but I can't tell. I don't actually have the writing or artist credits here. I'll just show it to you. It's a. I love this. Tired of being stupid. Here you go. Can you see that? There we are. Benny's Tale. For those of you who don't know, it's wonderful. It's about this guy who's stupid and he wants to get smart, become a mental genius before a brainless slob. There's something great about a kind of advertising nature to 2000 AD. And of course, it's all about how this guy becomes really smart and attempts to stop a moving vehicle with the power of his brain. You know, poor old Benny Bean. And essentially, that in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages of art. Very tight little script. It's presented almost as a kind of Twilight Zone episode, but it's 2000 AD's version of Flowers for Algernon. Essentially, if you know the story, and it's a very stupid, funny version of Flowers for Algernon, if you know what I mean. And it's a story I've always thought was hilarious. It's just the way it's presented. They have an attitude about them, I suppose. There's a whole bunch of other 2000 AD, British comics around at the time. There's Star-Lord, there's Tornado, there's a whole hack of them. None of them survive. Excuse me. But they all do kind of get merged into 2000 AD, and it kind of absorbs, you know, these comics, I suppose. It brings in the new characters, artists, and talent, you know, but very much on the cutting edge of technology. This is a 1980 annual. You know, there's your computer games and stuff like this. And yeah, I suppose some of the stories at the time here, we've got Invasion, which is a bit of a Red Scare kind of thing. Interviews with things like there's Arthur C. Clarke and all this stuff promising us we'll be living on the moon by 1999. And there we go, of course, look at that. It's a 3D down there, isn't it? That's and I never had my 3D glasses for a while. And yeah, really just quite odd, you know, but different, very different at the time. And a combination of black and white and color, etc. You know, and really introducing you to again, this comic introduced me to things like H.G. Wells and stuff like this. It's quite informative to its, you know, young readers and so on. Has all sorts of, you know, man may have to live beneath the sea. All of this kind of, you know, speculative stuff about our technology. Absolutely wonderful. And it's kind of grown up with its audience on, well, sort of in a fortunate, maybe unfortunate way, I think. But it's a very adult thing that whenever I left it behind, I suppose, you know. But there we go. Space Truckers, arguably, some people would say it's meant to be a kind of, the idea was lifted from Ace Trucking Co. And there's some stories in 2080 that are just very, very way out there, very far out there, you know. Absolutely bonkers. And they're yeah, GBH Dead, that's a great character. They really, yeah, they're a joy to behold, I think. And if the thing, I suppose, if any of you guys aren't familiar with 2000 AD, I know we have an audience around the world. It is kind of a global comic. Excuse me. But there are so many individual graphic novels, I think, and little books and comic books here, there, and everywhere, that I don't think it should be too hard to pick up just some little element of 2000 AD. If you know what I mean. If you're not familiar with it, there's novels, there's role play games, there's play your own adventure books. I'm pretty sure this kind of thing. There's all sorts over the years, um, and I'd almost you'd be very hard pressed to pick a story out of 2000 AD that wasn't pretty good. To be honest with you, that if you give it a chance, it'll get you there. The other thing that I really love, probably, I suppose, Judge Dredd is 2080 is the home of Judge Dredd, and he's not in the first episode, as he appears in the second one. There's an example, by the way, that kind of merging of the comics, if you like, 2080 and Star Lord. We'll go back to again. So it's a lot of the same people, I suppose, but they're trying to sort of try out different comics, and it's just not working, you know. But for anybody who wants to check it out, over the years, a few years back, let me see, when did this come out? I cannot see a date on it. Anyway, this is really good. I picked this up. It's called Future Shock: The Story of 2000 AD. Fantastic documentary, says IGN. There we go. That's really insightful. Really good. Fantastic little DVD. It's got some extras from including Judge Dredd, Rogue Trooper, Sloan, Nemesis the Warlock, 2080 Origins, E-Comics, Strontium Dog, Kilo Jones, Nikolai Dante, ABC Warriors of Kingdom, and Shakara. There we go. Essential viewing, says Twitch. I really enjoyed this. You get a lot of these kind of little so-so documentaries that are out and about these days. And I watched one the other night on HP Lovecraft, and it was not good. I have to say, it really wasn't enjoyable. It was very bland. That's a good wee documentary for anyone who wants to check out. 2000 AD. So there we go. And I suppose just interesting what's on the news this week. I suppose we're talking about. We just mentioned there Russia invading Ukraine. You know, which is a bit strange, I have to say. Which one on Prime? Colleges and campuses. The one that was it the one HPL? I mean, yes. Oh, sorry, no. Was it on Prime? Bear with me. I think it was. Yeah, it wasn't great. I have to say, HP Lovecraft. I think it was the one on Prime. I was watching a couple. I just watched some. I thought I'd watch some random sci-fi stuff or whatever last night, and I watched Split Second with Rutger Hauer, and afterwards I watched that one. I'm not too sure. There is I have seen another one which was quite good, so I probably that's. Let me just double check. That would not be good of me to give a poor opinion on the wrong video. Let me see. Continue. Lovecraft, Fear of the Unknown. That's the one I watched. Yes, it's the one on Prime. Did not like it, I have to say. And I suppose what I know, I've read a long time ago. I hope this is the right person. I think a long time ago I read a biography of H.P. Lovecraft. Let me see. There we go. Just so I can tell you which one it was. H.P. Lovecraft, a biography, the Elsbrag de Camp one. I read that, I mean, a long time ago, so I won't comment on it, but I'll just say I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very, very, very good book. And I think at the time I was, I don't know. I thought it was quite bland. It's not in the way they're presenting their information. I just didn't enjoy the format, I think. And oh, it didn't. I don't think it failed. I just, in terms of enjoyment, I didn't like it. I think that's really. I'm not throwing a super critical eye over it in that sense. Colleges, but it was just not. I just it bored me a bit. Um, and I just thought, come on, there's, do you know what I mean? This guy's he's pretty interesting. I think there's a lot more to it, and I think it could have explored a few other things, I suppose. But Christopher Heyerdahl playing H.P. Lovecraft. No, no, I don't think. I thought I don't. Hang on, hang on. Maybe I am looking at the wrong one. Give me a second. Just quickly check. I was on. Yeah, I was on Prime. I think that's it. It looks the same. Continue watching for Christopher Heyerdahl. I think it's something to do with Thor Heyerdahl. Playing H.P. Lovecraft. I don't. I don't think it. I don't think it was a drama documentary. It was just a straight kind of documentary, and it was. I'd say that the production on it wasn't too far off one of my videos. I suppose that's all the way. I was thinking it didn't look very professional or high budget. If you know what I mean. I don't know what I'm talking. I suppose there's an awful lot of that stuff about these days. But it's maybe just because I was tired. But no, I just felt it didn't grip me, if you know what I mean. Colleges and the stuff's interestingly enough. You know, I'm kind of watching at the start and going, you know, yeah, keep going, yeah. But I just didn't grip me. But there is other stuff out there, and as I said, he played H.P. Lovecraft and Out of Mind. Right, gotcha. I love Lovecraft films. I have to say that there's quite a few of them out there. Sam Neill keeps turning up in kind of Lovecraftian films, doesn't he? But no, it was just a kind of straightforward documentary. I wonder if I'm confusing these documentaries. I don't think there was any actors in this one, so I think there's a few of these about there, I suppose. But simply put, colleges that whenever I'd read that biography by L. Sprague de Camp, I loved it. I thought this is really entertaining. I thought it was a really interesting man, and I think I read it. I think at the time, and it's funny, I always put these two writers together, but I think at the time I was reading as well. Then I went on to read a biography of Robert E. Howard, and I'm just wondering, was it also by L. Sprague de Camp? Let's see. It was actually. Let me just have a wee nosy. Select the work stands for fantasy other. Not. Let's see. Lovecraft, a biography. Lovecraft. Let me see. Dark Valley Destiny. The Life of Robert E. Howard with Catherine Crook de Camp and Jane Whittington Griffin, the first major biography of Robert E. Howard. There you go. So I think I read those two books kind of pretty much back to back. And I think it's at the time I was getting into Lovecraft and Robert E. Howard as well. So yeah, again, that was it. I think, but really, both of those books I found really interesting. I found both men, Lovecraft and Robert E. Howard, really interesting people. They're cookie, you know, and they're definitely interesting. And I just I think a documentary could certainly do a bit more with them. I think you'll have seen Heyerdahl if you've watched any reasonable amount of genre TV in the last 20 years. Even earlier, he played the big bad in Highlander. The big bad. Is it seen Stargate? Yes, I think. Oh, I know who you mean. At least I think, isn't he the voice? Did he do a voice in? Let me see. Christopher Heyerdahl. Very bad with names, you know. Kind of do name association, I think. Let's see. What's he look like? God, no, I wouldn't. I suppose, yeah, I don't know. Wouldn't recognize him, to be honest. Let's see. Alistair, Supernatural. With Todd and Stargate Atlantis. Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Samuel Helsing, Halloween, Twilight Saga. A lot of stuff that I haven't seen, probably. So Stargate Atlantis, I quite enjoyed that. And the original Stargate series. That's something that my mum got me into, believe it or not. I kind of didn't like it initially. And my mum started watching Stargate, and then I kind of got into it and quite enjoyed it. Yeah, I think I know who you mean. Yeah, TV stuff. Yeah, I could reread both of those authors endlessly. Well, I kind of am at the minute, and that's I think the good thing about you're confused. I was wondering if you meant the original. Yeah, Clancy Brown's the Kurgan, isn't he? In Highlander, I've got the novelization of Highlander here somewhere. Which is interesting. If you're a Highlander fan, there's more immortals in it. Let me see. Is it sitting there? There we go. Oh, who did this? I wonder. Gary Douglas, based on the story by Gregory Whiten. There you go. But if you like your Highlander as I do, and I read this at the time when the film. So you start off with the Mongol, the Kurgan versus the Mongol. It's just for that little bit of extra, couple extra immortals and incidents in it, I suppose. But it's a pretty good, I suppose, what would you call it? TV adaptation, if you like. Major motion picture featuring Sean Connery and Christopher Lambert. I was like the casting for Highlander is that you have a Frenchman playing a Scot, don't you? You have what else? Then we have a Scot playing what is he? An Egyptian pretending to be a Spaniard, and then we have an American playing a Russian, and it's just okay. The accents get a bit silly, Hi everyone, says Brad. Happy birthday again, Doc. Thanks very much, Brad. How you doing, sir? Colin Howard made an excellent wraith, some very good Todd scenes on YouTube. Yeah, it just kind of didn't it just peter out. I think Stargate Atlantis. It just went. Didn't it just stop. I think I can't remember. It's a pity it wasn't bad. Actually, I thought it was quite good. It had didn't it had your man Jason Momoa in it, and it hadn't a bad cast actually. It's quite fun. And kind of what you want in a bit of sci-fi TV, I suppose, something for the whole family can watch. But yeah, the wraiths and so on, and I quite enjoyed that. I must give it another look actually. Something I haven't gone near in quite a while. I suppose the Stargate, and then there was two seasons was it of Stargate. What was the one where they're in the big ship with Rob? Goodness, who was it? Who am I thinking on? From Trainspotting, Robert Carlyle. There was a show. What was that called? Bear with me a wee second. Where are we, Mr. Robert? Has Johnny Walker. What am I thinking on TV work? Stargate Universe, that was it. 40 episodes of that. So I just couldn't remember the name of it for the life of me. Where are we? College of Counselling, it had a big denouement. College of Counselling Universe, yeah, thank you. So I should have just looked over there. Stargate Universe, yeah, and again that just disappeared, didn't it? And it was it seemed quite good actually. I don't recall much mention here about Red Dwarf. I love Red Dwarf. I suppose it's not. Is it still going? I'm not too sure, but Red Dwarf is truly excellent. I have to say, there's a bunch of the novels that come out of it as well. Everything about it, I think it's a very British comedy. And yeah, if anybody hasn't seen it, check it out. It's great fun. There's a bit of a lull. I think it kind of started to go a bit, and then so it's one of those shows that actually managed to pick itself up and get running again. If you see what I mean, and come back fresh. I think it kind of went a wee bit around season 6 or 7, but again, well, you only got about 6 episodes per season. But yeah, if anybody hasn't seen Red Dwarf, I think it's hilarious. We'll have to have a good natter about it. I was actually one of those ones, Brad, that was chatting to my wife because she hasn't seen them, and we're talking about box set TV, and we're thinking about hitting Farscape again soon because we like our fun science fiction. But she hasn't seen Red Dwarf, so again, that shouldn't take us too much to get through it. But yeah, I have to say, I really like Red Dwarf, and my favorite character in Red Dwarf is probably Ace Rimmer, the alternative universe, the really good version of Rimmer. The whole smoke me a kipper, I'll be back for breakfast. That I think that's just the funniest shit ever. It's so good. I have to say, I love it. So yeah, if anyone's not a Red Dwarf fan or doesn't know Red Dwarf, check it out. Was it Chris? Is it Chris Barry who plays Rimmer? He's comic gold, isn't he? But he had another show here about this. It's the British Empire, I think, and there's one episode of that. It's so funny. It's about a really kind of anal leisure center manager. I suppose it's a sitcom, but it's very. I think it's the one where he actually dies, but he ends up saving everyone, doesn't he? And they're all going. And I think what's happened in the show is a pillar has gone down his shirt or something. He's kind of impaled with these kind of thing, and so everyone thinks he's holding up the whole building. And if you're not sure, the British Empire, I think it's maybe the last episode or so. I'm not sure. But it's just nuts, really good, very funny. But Red Dwarf, absolutely brilliant. They did a Red Dwarf night a while back, didn't they? It was just a night of all sorts of famous Red Dwarf fans. Patrick Stewart on gushing about it and stuff. And yeah, it's really good. And there aren't that many good science fiction comedies. Excuse me. I suppose they're starting to turn up. If you like, there's a couple. But they tend to be more like cartoons and things. But I suppose what's the new? Oh goodness, I haven't seen any of it. There's a Star Trek spoof, isn't there, by the people who do Family Guy? I'm not sure what you call it. You can probably help me out there. But I haven't seen any of it. But it's meant to be good. Oh, I'm going to take a sip of that for my throat. I have to say, folks, that's what I said. We're not going to go super long tonight because the book club thing is that chapter last night was ridiculous. I actually was surprised that I got it done under 4 hours. The first time I saw Red Dwarf, it was a Sunday afternoon. Then the same episode 2 weeks later. Then the next week, it was weird. I like the alternative universe cat, Dwayne Dibley. Yeah, all the alternatives are pretty good. There's Futurama, of course. The Better Than Life stuff with Red Dwarf. I think I have possibly. Give me a wee second here. Do we have a couple of the novels here? I've read a whole bunch of them. I'm not sure where they stopped, but let me just have a look. Actually, they're really good. Actually, they're not just kind of just sort of spin-off fiction from the show. Pardon me. Let's see. Doug Naylor. Oh, God, we've got Backwards, Last Human, Better Than Life, Infinity Welcomes Careful Drivers. Let's see. The End. Yeah, so there's Better Than Life. Infinity Welcomes Careful Drivers, Better Than Life. Let's see. Must have them all here. Where are we? Rather neat. The Last Human, I've read it as well, and Grant's Red Dwarf novel Backwards as well. Would be a direct sequel to the ending of Better Life at the beginning, consistently. Yeah, it looks like I've read them all actually. All of those books. So there we go. The Red Dwarf books for anybody. There's 4 of them, and I would recommend them if you're a Red Dwarf fan. But if they're funny, They're very good books, and just in general. So it's Infinity Welcomes Careful Drivers, Better Than Life, The Last Human, and Backwards. And yeah, it's a different way of absorbing Red Dwarf. It's a literary Red Dwarf, but it's very. You won't be disappointed if you like the show. Um, hmm. Yeah, and I don't know. It plays on many things, doesn't it? It kind of has the whole alien thing, the 2001. The Last Man. There's a lot of science fiction tropes in it. Mr. Bugleson, there's Futurama, of course, there is indeed. Brad said, I had to leave early last night. I had to go to a gym for the first time in 30 years, feeling it today. I haven't been to a gym in, oh, goodness, when's the last time I went to a gym? How old am I? Oh, God, I don't know. Probably about 30 years myself to thinking about it, yeah. Is it interesting? I was thinking about where I was actually 30 years ago. And I was about to just, in a short time, I'd be moving to London for the first time and arriving in London with not much on me and basically, good luck. That kind of thing. So, yeah, I'm having a wee beer. I don't drink too much anymore. But this is quite nice. So I'll say cheers, by the way. Just Schlanta to everybody who's watching. It'd be rude not to. And my beer has lost its head, sadly. But yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, we should maybe get an episode on Red Dwarf. I think Red Dwarf's really good. And of course, we've got, we've culturally, it's given us Smeghead and things like this. It's got its own science fiction insults, which I think you can tell a lot about a show if it has their own foul language. It's good fun. Farscape's got its foul language. Battlestar Galactica's got its foul language. Judge Dredd's got its own foul language, and so is Red Dwarf. There's a lot to Red Dwarf that kind of relies on certain, I think, nostalgia, particularly with certain films. And what was it, Casablanca, and what's the other one? There's that awful Christmas film, isn't it? With the one I'm thinking of. With Jimmy Stewart. I can never remember the name of it. Not for the life of me. Oh dear. That's really bad. Let's look it up very quickly. It's such a famous film. Everybody knows it. It's a Wonderful Life. That's what I'm thinking of. God, sorry, that's terrible. Here you go, Brad. The time I get there, somebody's got it up on the screen. Yeah. There was an episode of Red Dwarf that was the first time I heard of the concept of a white hole. It was only a few years ago I found out Einstein had predicted them. I got one for you. Tell you where I heard of white holes. If you'd like to see it. That's Nemesis the Warlock. I'm not quite sure when it, but it's the black hole white hole transit. And there's the black hole part of it. And the black hole bypass, as they call it. I'm pretty sure. And they come out of the white hole, don't they? As much as it's probably their own version of it, I suppose. At least I think that's where it is. And so I just picked it up because I thought that yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. Might have it, maybe it's a different episode. Yeah, you do pick up, and it is a science fiction show, Brad. So it's it does. That's the thing. As much as it's a comedy, it's not a fantasy, is it? It has good science fiction chops, if you like. I don't know. There's some episodes. As you were saying, Brad, the alternative universe ones that are the Dwayne Dibley and all, and was it the Better Than Life one? Better Than Life, the very first one, I think is really, really good. But there's an episode where Crichton's going to be replaced by a new and improved robot. I love that episode. The new robot turns up and microwaves a chicken, and then it goes, look at this amazing strength, and he unzips, pulls out his penis, and goes, breaks a brick, in half with his crotch, and just there's something quite juvenile, fun, sleazy, kind of student, even almost that kind of humor about it, if you know what I mean. And that's the thing, I think. Red Dwarf's kind of almost gutter science fiction, but is quite intellectual, if you know what I mean. It's smart. It's a bit like Lister. It's kind of grubby looking, if you know what I mean, but it's quite fun and quite clever. And I suppose the Casablanca episode, isn't it? With the Gelf, isn't it, or what do you call it, the metamorph or something like that? No, the way it does things, there's I don't know. There's even wee nods to things like Dark Star and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just fun, isn't it? And what would you do if you were stuck on a ship like that with Arnold Rimmer, basically a cat, and Crichton? The characters are brilliant though as well, I have to say. But yeah, it's one of those things you start to think of, apart from modern shows, where are the science fiction comedies? And you get the odd film maybe, but TV series, no, it tends to be the other way. They tend to be pretty dark, I have to say. Yeah. But yeah, Red Dwarf is great. And as I said, I've read all 4 of those books over the years. I don't know, it must be out for a good while now. Oh, the other thing I would say is that it moved to Red Dwarf kind of moved to Dave, didn't they? And they ended up doing a 3-part episode. And I didn't know what to think of it initially, and I watched it, and it's kind of Red Dwarf does Blade Runner, and it's really good. At the end, you go, yeah, and you think, what are they doing here? Are they going to? They're not playing around with this, are they? And it's absolutely fantastic, really, really good. And yes, it's not only now that I'm older that I notice the references. Yeah, I mean, it is. There's lots of wee science fiction nods to it, and there, even Outland and things like that. The whole setup of it, but it's so much fun, I have to say, and it was consistently very, very good. And there's something else about it. I mean, I've watched them that many times, I think, over the years. But loved them when they were first on. You go, oh, what's this? And then it became, religious. A bit like the Young Ones. It was something kind of anarchic, not quite as bad as maybe the Young Ones in its day, but it was definitely funny as hell. And it's that very, I don't know. There's something. A lot of these sitcoms have I suppose, the 4-character mode, if you like, and there's always one's particularly stupid character, but Father Ted would be a bit similar to that, if you know what I mean. The IT crowd as well, isn't it? But it's I don't know. Rimmer is as a character. He reminds me on. Is it? I mean, there's parts of like Blakey from On the Buses, if you know what I mean. If you know this character, get you, Ballad. This guy, and it's like the Young Ones in Space beat me to it. It is a bit, yeah. I don't know. And there's little jokes, little nods to modern day life. I think one of the funniest things that you'll see in Red Dwarf is that they have a shuttle called Starbug, and they're going to crash in this shuttle, and they're kind of, isn't it that they're preparing to crash, and that somebody explains that, isn't it, Starbug is made out of the same material as these children's plastic dolls that always seem to survive plane crashes. And this whole bit about, brace for impact and that kind of, instead that they're all told that actually when you're relaxed, you're more likely to not get injured. So they all go about trying to relax as the thing's going down. Oh dear, that's very, very funny. Yeah, I don't know. Would it be on for those in America? I suppose probably BBC America. Is it BBC America would be the channel? I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure. Is it probably on Netflix or something? I don't know. But yeah, it should. Again, we just don't watch TV the same way anymore. Which is really sad, I suppose. But it's kind of thing you're going, oh, you're almost. That's me showing my age, I suppose. You're almost thinking, oh God, I wish that was back on the telly again. Let me see. on Netflix, that's for sure. Probably on the BBC somewhere. And the music, of course, for Red Dwarf is very, very good. I have it somewhere about on the computer. Let's see. No, you got to pay for it. It is on Prime, but you have to buy it, I suppose. So there you go. 10 years of it, maybe at least. But yeah, very, very good, folks, I have to say. Yeah. And consistently good, but it's maybe on Dave. I don't know what's happened to the property as well, but there is a kind of 3-parter. I think it was almost whenever the show went to Dave, I think it was purchased by, and it is a very Blade Runner. It's like a homage to Blade Runner. And it's a wee bit meta, I have to say, but it's very, very good. So if you haven't checked out Red Dwarf, definitely have a look at it. And yeah, there's an awful lot of wee references in it, I think, and it's just very fun. But I have to say, I love the young ones, and I miss the young ones very badly. That kind of anarchic kind of comedy. Land of the Lost, Will Ferrell, another sci-fi comedy. Saw that one. Ooh. I have to say, I didn't think it was that good. Will Ferrell's a bit, I think, well, certainly tells in this house, he's very hit and miss. And it's just Will Ferrell being Will Ferrell. But yeah, goodness, who was the actress in it? We were thinking, goodness, what's she doing in this? It was on Saturday afternoons when I was 18. It was a great afternoon on Terps. Yeah. And yeah, I used to get Red Dwarf. When would it have been? A Thursday or Friday night show as well? I think it used to be a Thursday 9 o'clock, something like that, BBC Two. But definitely a fun one, Yeah. But yeah, science fiction comedies, I don't know. You get a lot of them that are. I think you get some of these films. Sometimes these films and TV series are inadvertently funny, if you like. I don't know what you'd think of Dark Star, but I think it's a comedy, isn't it? But it's a bit. And I suppose it's meant to be a parody, kind of on 2001, so it is a wee bit slow and tedious in parts, But do you know something? It's interesting. Bear with me a wee second. Oh, oops! Something got fallen there. Let's have a wee look. I always talk about that I have all these resources here, and they're all sitting over there, and I don't bother to look at them while we're sitting here. Let's have a wee nosy just to see if there's anything of note. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Well, Young Frankenstein. There's your science fiction comedy, I think. And yeah, interestingly enough, there you go. The what I'm looking through is the Encyclopedia of Science Fiction, looking for a comedy section. And there's not. There's certainly plenty on comics, but not on comedy. There's something for the next edition. It was on something. The Star Trek stand-up with Sigourney Weaver was okay. I really like that, I have to say. What's it called? Galaxy Quest. Yeah. Yeah, Galaxy Quest is really good. I really like it. I think it's a really nice film. I think it's a very good family film. Old-fashioned, if you know what I mean. They don't. We're not making films like that anymore, but genuinely funny. And yeah, Sigourney Weaver has done a fair bit of sending herself up a wee bit in sci-fi, hasn't she? She's done plenty of wee cameos over the last few years, I think. She turns up in Paul, doesn't she? She's the sort of villain. And I think there's some other stuff with her. There's some science fiction on Netflix that I have to check out. The thing I was thinking about, let me see if I can see it. Let me see. There's something recently, Tales from the Something or Other, I think it was called. Let me just have a wee quick look here. Not that it's great at finding stuff. Was it Oates? Is it Oates Studios? Something like that. She's in that. Is that Neil Blomkamp? Yeah, Neil Blomkamp's Oak Studios is on Netflix at the minute. I haven't had a chance to look at it. Is it a one season? Looks like an anthology of very short sci-fi stuff. Haven't had a look at it yet, but there was something else as well, and I think it was some other TV series, and I can't remember what it was. But no, I'm not seeing it there. I'll not waste our time looking for it. But that was that one there. Um, hmm. Men in Black. I don't know. I think it's gone a bit silly, hasn't it? I think it strayed a bit from its source material. Um, hmm. I don't know. Black. And I'm trying to think of something in particular, but no, it's not. It's not. It's not pinging with me at the minute, guys. I have to say, But I must scribble down some wee thoughts on this, and they're definitely science fiction. I'd say Barbarella's a comedy. Would you not think it? Barbarella's? I think, yeah, Barbarella's a science fiction comedy, and it's kind of hard not to look at Flash Gordon as a sci-fi comedy, though it's not meant to be. So we'll not include it. But definitely, I think Barbarella is genuinely meant to be funny. Um, it's my favorite sex scene of all time is between Barbarella and Dildano. Where they do it Earth style, and his hair starts smoking. I think that's the funniest shit ever. It's so funny. If you've not seen it, check out Barbarella. But just go to the bit where he wants to do it with is it the illegal pills or something? I can't remember. And it's just what's the actor's name? Is it David Hemmings? I think. And he just the performance is incredible. Very, very funny. Absolute laugh a minute. Listen, folks. Thank you very much for popping on and joining me for just a wee bit of banter tonight. I'm really keeping it short tonight because it is my birthday and I've got to go. So we've done an hour, and I just wanted to pop on and have a wee sort of happy birthday to 2080. Happy birthday to Anthony Burgess as well, and just jokingly, just give me a topic to talk about tonight. So. And for anybody who hasn't read A Clockwork Orange, check it out. It's very good. Film's not bad at all. And if you're unaware of it, have a look at 1985 by Anthony Burgess, who became a very prolific man when he thought he was dying. But listen, folks, thanks very much. We'll see you again on Sunday at 9 o'clock when we go on with the book club and more then. So thank you very much for joining me. And no matter where you are, guys, look after yourselves and take care. In these very, very interesting times. All the very best, folks. Good night. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Barbarella.